Listen up. Here's the deal. You're going to get replaced by robots. That's what's coming. All right. Now, this is, despite all appearances, a very serious talk because this is something that is coming and has been coming for a long time. Among other things, you know, there's all this talk in America about, oh, no, we're totally going to bring back all these jobs from overseas. We're just going to create lots of things, and we're going to make America remarkable again or something, right? Well, here's the problem with that. All right, when they bring this stuff back, it's going to be robots doing most of the work. They're going to build new factories that use automation to increase productivity at a lower cost, and it's going to use fewer people. But there's an additional problem with this in that the robots are learning. In contrast to the beginning of the industrial age, where you had the introduction of machines that could do more labor than the average person, what we're building now are thinking machines, all right? There is a distinct difference. Before, people would build factories and then people would have to maintain the factories, run the factories, etc. What's going to happen now is robots are going to design, build, maintain, and run the factories. And you're going to see all kinds of fallout from that. But before we even get to the point where they take everything, there's going to be problems before then. Like, we don't have to get to the point of mass displacement before the economy starts to come apart. Forbes, a number of other respected magazines have said that in the next 20 years we could see up to 50% of jobs, like all jobs, replaced by automation, robots, AI, etc., of some nature. But before we get to that point, we can see disruptions. So I want to talk for a moment about systems and stability. As I've described myself, I am a systems man. I've always been fascinated by complex systems. They are unique entities where you have multiple inputs, multiple outputs, you have feedback loops, but everything has to remain in balance for the system to remain stable. But the problem is, when the system is stable, you can have a little bit of variation, backwards, forwards, etc., and it will go back. You can have a system that doesn't really have a lot of bounds, but has a lot of flexibility, can move back and forth. But unstable systems, they move a little bit off, and it falls. So the problem that we're facing is that after only, 10, 20% of jobs are replaced, our economy starts to come apart because the people who should be earning money cannot earn money. The jobs that they've been replaced from and the associated jobs around that are probably going to be automated. So if those people don't have jobs, they don't have money, they can't spend money, they can't go buy things from other people, they can't enjoy the services from other people, it leads to a systemic problem that causes collapse. So this is what we see in terms of more complexity. We see multiple things that are lying in balance with one another. And if you take one piece of them out, the whole thing comes crashing down. Now, some of you may say, well, the last time this happened, went from a largely agricultural society to becoming one that was industrial. So the folks left the fields and they went into the factories. So we'll figure out something and folks will find new jobs. Well, I go back to what I said a moment ago, that the problem is we're not building just machines as they were. We're building thinking machines. All right? So IBM's Watson, for example. So we all saw it on, I'm sure most of you saw it on Jeopardy. It beat all those really fancy human people. But now, Watson has been deployed in the medical industry. You might be familiar with this if you live in Birmingham. Watson is becoming as good a doctor as actual doctors. That it can take a variety of symptoms in, compile it against everything that it's learned, every single paper that's been written on anything medically regarded whatsoever, and can produce results. But more so than that, that Watson can just be replicated into another Watson instantly. So you have one Watson, you have two Watsons, you have four Watsons, you have 8 Watsons. You see where this is going. It's a Fibonacci sequence. So the problem becomes that as more people get displaced, what are they going to do? What are we going to do? There's been a lot of alternatives. There's been a lot of alternatives proposed for this. Universal basic income is one. Having public ownership of the robots' production is another, so that the things are distributed equally. But the real question for us here today in Birmingham is, what can we do about it? What is our future? Now, we can't change the whole fate of the world, but we do have control over our portion of it. So I want to talk for just a moment about what I think has to happen. And this is, once again, 100% serious in contrast to everything else you might see here, because this is going to happen in our lifetime. First of all, we need to have an educational pipeline. We have to have a connection between children, all the way up to adults, having a cycle of people that are trained in creative thinking, in problem solving, philosophy, technology, etc. They have to be capable of adapting to the systems that are coming, and that has to feed from one stage of life to the other. And it needs to be supported from all the way from our research and development institutions to higher learning, high school, grade school, and practically down till kids are 3 or 4. We also need research funding. We need to have a lobbying effort to bring dollars into our community, to go to UAB, Southern Research, etc., that can fund the research into the technologies of tomorrow. Robotics, cybernetics, bioengineering, machine learning, all of those things. And those need to be tied to the educational outputs that we have. In addition, we also need venture capital to take research out of the lab and put it onto the streets. And we need to have those companies based here. They need to be a part of those other things. They need to be a part of a lobbying effort to get more research. They need to be part of the conversation on what is the correct opportunities for education to train the people who will come into these companies down the road. That's part of the reinvestment cycle. Those things need to be interconnected. It has to be a holistic approach to moving our community forward and becoming a community of the 21st century. And finally, we need EMP weapons, so when the robots finally rise up, that we can blast them and take them down and begin over again. So, that's the other important part. Because everybody loves shooting robots. I mean, have you all seen Westworld? Awesome, by the way. Humans, also really good, but it's British, so, it's kind of up its own ass. It's really good, though. So, we can be the change. We can build something new here. We can become a new Birmingham that is part of the development of humanity moving forward, an evolution of what it means to be human and what comes after. But one way or another, we will be changed. If we take no action, we will still be affected. These things will continue. Nothing short of the fall of civilization as we know it will prevent this from happening, because there are investments in all of these fields occurring right now around the world. So let's take a piece of it from the rest of the world and bring it back to Birmingham, and we can become the Magic City again. Thank you.